Everybody, Dave here, Hidden Freedom Investing. In this video, we're gonna go over my dividend portfolio. We're gonna do a mid-month update, which I've never done before, but I think today calls for a mid-month update, so that's what we're gonna go ahead and do. And because it's only a mid-month update, it doesn't need to be very long, but let's go over and look at the damage that was done today from Wells Fargo and also look at the changes that I made today. So let's go ahead and dig in. So this is what the portfolio looked like last night or even early this morning. So I had over $8,000 in dividends, and the monthly dividends were about $666 for a dreaded 666. So and then here is the average weighted 5-year dividend CAGR of 7.92. And then we also had a account yield on cost of 3.85. So the only reason I'm putting this up here is, and this is a screenshot by the way, this is not even real time, is just because I wanted to look at the before and after of the changes that I made. So this is the real time dividend portfolio in Google Sheets. So as you can see, we've had a drop in the annual dividends from $8,000 to $761, and we've also dropped from the $666 down to the $646. And also the average weighted dividend yield has dropped as well, and also the account yield on cost has dropped. So, and the reason why, well, actually the yield on cost is yes, it did drop. So, and you also notice, I mean, I didn't go back, I should have to go back and look at the other one, but the number of positions have dropped from 39 to down to 37. So I did cut 2 positions out of the portfolio. And so let's just look at that here. They're not in here anymore. So if we scroll down here, we have 39, and that's minus the 2 at the top here that don't count. So that's 37 positions. So the positions that I did cut today were Wells Fargo, and I also decided to cut out Goldman Sachs as well. So Goldman Sachs, if you looked at some previous updates that I did take profit on that, quite a bit of profit on that. So it was kind of just a little small positions hitting in my portfolio, but I decided to just cut the whole thing out completely. It was up today, and I did take profit on that and just got rid of it in both accounts. So I am in 2 accounts here, a taxable and a tax deferred. So I cut it out of both accounts. And then also Wells Fargo, I decided to cut out of both accounts as well. Look, they cut the dividend from 51 cents down to 10 cents per quarter. And that was an 80% cut, and that is just not sitting well with me. So I decided to cut the position out of my portfolio. So I did take a substantial loss on that. I don't actually have the loss here. It's not going to register until late tonight, and I want to make the video now. So I think it was a $1,300 loss or something like that. But overall on this year, I'm still up, so that's what matters. And I'm going to kind of talk about the reason why I just decided to cut it out of the portfolio. So here we are looking at the Schwab account, and there's the sell right there of the Wells Fargo for today. Okay, now I generated about $3,500 just in that one account. And then there's another account here where I sold 13 shares. So, and then I turned around and bought about $2,300 worth of stuff. Okay, so that $3,500 I replaced with that roughly about $2,300, and that was in Microsoft, AT&T, Southern, Duke, and ADP. Okay, so I did put a little bit of that money to work immediately. Now near the end of the day, I went ahead and just sold out the rest of that Goldman Sachs, like I said, generated about $1,000 in free cash. So, and I just took profit on that. So I don't know exactly what the profit and loss on this particular account looks like right now. I think it's actually going to be a loss for the year, but I have other accounts that I'm actually up in, so I'm actually up for the year. But the reason I decided to sell Wells Fargo and not hold on to it, I was going to hold on to it if they cut 50%. Now them cutting 80%, it just didn't make any sense to me to hold on to it at this point. I'd rather put that money to work in other stocks. because I think the actual dividend went down to like 1.6 or 1.7%, and that's just not going to cut it for me. So I went ahead and deployed it into some other stuff. Like Microsoft was down early this morning, so I went ahead and picked up a little bit more Microsoft. But AT&T pays a pretty healthy dividend. I picked up $1,000 of AT&T, 35 more shares. So right now we're sitting at how many shares are we sitting at of AT&T at the moment? And so AT&T, we're sitting at 209 shares in that one account now. So that means I can sell some covered calls, 2 contracts now instead of just 1, although we are down unrealized in that account. So I may not actually sell them until it comes back up. But I'm just not going to sit around and wait for Wells Fargo to get their shit together, okay? So they cut 80%, you're going to get cut out of my portfolio. I don't care if it's a loss or not. So what I can do is if the stock continues to drop, hits down to the low 20s, like 20 or 21, or even goes sub 20s, then maybe what I will do is pick it up in a different account, like my TD Ameritrade account. That way it's not a wash sale, all right? So I can pick it up in there. It's not gonna be a dividend hold at this point. It's just gonna be to get some capital appreciation out of it, to either get back to even or even make some capital appreciation on it. So it's really, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'll let you know if I end up doing that. But if it continues to drop, we're only in just Q2 earnings. When Q3 comes out, I think that if they don't extend this unemployment stuff and all the evictions and foreclosures and all that stuff, once that goes forward, who knows what will happen. I think that maybe it's possible that Wells Fargo could even be hit more. I don't want to take that risk, so I just, it's not really paying me much of a dividend, so why not just cut it out of the portfolio at this point? So, JP Morgan is the only financial stock that I hold at this point. I don't know if Travelers counts as one. It does say financials, but that's not really a bank to me. So I am holding a pretty substantial position in JP Morgan, but JP Morgan killed their earnings today. They do have that trading aspect to them, and that's what kind of kept them afloat. When you got the jumbo mortgages that are putting regulation, or I think Wells Fargo said that it requires $1 million now of capital versus being $250 to before. It's like they're not even gonna be lending as much anymore. So, and then you got the foreclosures are gonna happen, you got the evictions, everybody's gonna get hurt. And I think that Wells Fargo is going to get hurt more Q3, and who knows in Q4 or anything like that. But just decided to cut it out and be done with it. So if you're enjoying this midweek update, go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that bell notification. I did buy these positions here that did bring up my dividend income. And so the dividend income now is sitting at 7761, and so I did recoup that about $350. Actually, it was about 370, 380. Let me see. It was 149 plus 13 shares at 51 cents times 4. So it was $330 I was getting in dividends just from Wells Fargo. So I wanted to recapture a little of that and put a little bit of money back to work. So I put $2,300 back to work. So we did raise the dividends back up to $77.61. So we're sitting about $240 shy of where we started this morning in dividends. So it's going to take a little bit more capital to get back to where we were, because the dividend, my yield on cost in Wells Fargo was really high. It's like 8% or something like that. So like I said earlier, I did sell at Goldman Sachs. I generated about $1,000 in revenue that I can put back to work. I did not put that back to work yet. I sold that right at the end of the day. And the only reason I sold that one is just because, it's a bank and I don't know what's going to happen with them either. I feel a little bit safer with Goldman Sachs, but I just wanted to get rid of my exposure on the banks a little bit. So my allocation right now sits on financials at 5.6, and that's a pretty substantial decline from what it was 2 weeks ago. If you want to look at that video, I'll go ahead and link it up here. When I went through the whole dividend portfolio update, it's a 25-minute video. So Financials, 10.9 is what the S&P 500 is. I probably should update this over here for VU and see what the financials are. But right now, financials not going to play a big stake in my portfolio. So as it sits right now, I think that JP Morgan, let's see, what is the allocation, portfolio allocation for JP Morgan? So right now, the JP Morgan allocation is sitting about 4%. So you know, it doesn't make it the biggest stock in there, but I'm going to continue to add to all these other stocks down here as well. I feel pretty safe with JP Morgan. I do bank with them. It's my favorite bank by far. And you know, the reason I became a JP Morgan person is just because they bought WAMU back in the day. So I am happy with them for now. It seems to be pretty stable, but at the same time, you know, I mean, I don't know actually what the yield on that is right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the yield. It's not even in there, so in the top 10. So the yield on JP Morgan right now is sitting at 3.67. So that's higher than my 3.5% that I have up here as my target. It does have a pretty decent CAGR as well. 16%, that's actually really high. So I will probably continue to add to JP Morgan, and you know, I don't want it to be the biggest position in my portfolio, but it is what it is right now. So that's the positions that I cut. I did add some stuff, no, I didn't add any new positions, but I added to some existing. You know, and I've talked about in previous videos, I kind of wanted to get it down to about 35 positions anyway, so I did cut out of the stock heat map GS and JP Morgan, so those are no longer in there anymore. And you know, as far as my top dividend income stocks, let's just go ahead and take a look at those for the moment here. So the top 10 ordered by annual income. So JP Morgan is the, let me see, the top top fourth stock there that produces income for me. So that is actually, you know, Wells Fargo is about what, 330-ish. So Wells Fargo, you're gone, and you know, and I guess JP Morgan is gonna pick up a little bit of the slack for the financials for me. So right now, like I said, we're sitting at 37 positions. I don't have any plans of slicing. I don't have any plans of cutting any more stocks out, probably you know, anytime soon. I'm trying to, I keep looking at stocks that I could cut. I'm like, okay, maybe I could cut GPC out, I could cut ADM out, I could cut Cisco out, but they're just not on the chopping block right now, and I'm, you know, not in a hurry to get rid of them. So the average weighted 5-year dividend CAGR did come down a little bit, so it was 7.92%, now it's 7.88%. So I will try to get that up a little bit. I like to ideally get it back up to about 8%. So that means that maybe this tax deferred account, I can focus on some stocks there that pay a little bit higher CAGR, and or have a little bit higher CAGR, not pay a CAGR, but it's not a CAGR. We're not going to some, you know, college party. So that's a mid-week update on my dividend portfolio. I just wanted to keep you updated. Wells Fargo cut their dividend from 51 cents down to 10 cents per quarter. That's an 80% decline. I was expecting about a 50%. I was going to hold it at 50%. I may buy the stock back in a different account, not have to worry about the wash rule. Now the wash rule is only valid for 30 days, so I could pick it up in this account again if I want to. Goldman Sachs I could pick up again if I want to. But I think that things could get a little rough for some of the banks going forward. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and leave a comment below. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.